Okay, so guys, um, oh, that's neat to know, Ben. Anyways, I was saying, now that we are all here in the kitchen, I'm gonna have you guys go through your recipes, and don't worry, it's super chill. But we're gonna walk step by step through how we would make our different dishes. And before we get started, I'm gonna ask you guys, what is the very first thing you do before you cook anything? No matter what you're making, what's the first thing you do?
Wash your hands.
Exactly. Wash your hands. Otherwise, you'll get sick. Whoever will get sick. It's bad. Wash your hands. Very important. And one other thing that we often don't mention or don't hear people mention is there's something else you need to wash. Who wants to take a guess?
Counters.
Counters. Exactly. Whatever surface you are putting any food on, there's no point washing your hands if you're doing it on a dirty counter. So always wash your surfaces, always wash your hands. Um, Depending on what you're making, you probably are going to want to wash your hands a few times while you're making whatever, between touching different kinds of ingredients. Especially stuff like, who can give me an example of something really, really bad where you want to wash your hands after?
Meat.
Yeah, meat.
Egg.
Uh, Particularly, there's two kinds of meat that are really, really, really bad for germs and cross contamination. Well, three, if you count shrimp. But chicken and pork, those are the two most dangerous ones. Like, you definitely want to wash your hands after touching beef, but I mean, it's not as much of a germ and like gonna get you really, really sick and give you food poisoning threat. Because you can actually eat beef raw, just like you can actually eat most fish raw, but raw chicken and pork can kill you. It's probably not going to. It'll probably just make you really, 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 really sick. But chicken and pork, guys, wash your hands, watch anything you touch. Don't even use the same bowl and stuff like that, or like utensils. You ready? Okay, well, let us see. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 20. So Isaiah and Gabriel and Ephraim all are going to pick a number, and I'll tell you who's closest. Okay, Isaiah's going first because I was thinking of the number 1. So all you, Isaiah. Now, Isaiah, you have a microphone, right? Because it's a lot easier to use with a mic.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, all you, I'm going to mute myself. So what's the first thing you're going to do? I want you to kind of like walk over. You don't have to find the exact ingredients, but it helps if you go from like place to place. Like you would say you'd like wash to the sink to wash your hands, and say where you're going to do prep, and then you can walk over to an oven. And let's try to make this fun.
Okay.
I like your apron. Very classy. So talk us through it. What are you doing? What are we making?
It's a sausage dish. To start with, you'd make a sauce. You make a sauce which is made of ketchup, brown sugar, Dijon mustard, regular mustard, a little bit of lemon juice, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Then you just mix it together.
What do you mix it in? How do you
Just a regular bowl.
Okay, cool. A big bowl, a little bowl, like how much sauce do we make?
Well, it depends on how much you're wanting to make. Like how many people you're serving.
And so remember, if we're using a recipe, we'll have like proportions because like you don't want to have too much of one ingredient without having the right amount of the other ones. So you can like have more as long as you have the same amount more of everything, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Little things that like we take for head because we just do them in our head. Like we know this, but we got to really slow down and make sure we explain every little step. So good so far. Keep going.
And then you take the sausages, which are just regular breakfast sausages, and snip and cut them into pieces, like preferably just about in half.
Are they cooked or raw?
Well, you cut them raw. You cut them when they're raw, and then you fry them.
Okay. How do we fry them?
Just over medium heat for about 10 minutes.
Okay. And you flip them around a bunch. Do you have to oil the pan?
Yes.
Or anything?
No, you don't have to oil the pan, but afterwards you put both the sauce and the sausages into a pot and let them bake on the oven top.
That sounds pretty good actually.
And afterwards, when they're about halfway through cooking, you make some rice.
Mm-hmm.
And then add that to it and let it cook in there as well.
That sounds
so
good.
Then you just let it cool and serve it.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's really good.
Where is sweet? How long do you bake it for? Sorry if I missed that.
Only around from 10 to 15 minutes.
So the whole thing all together, how long can we expect it to take?
Probably around 20.
Yum, yum. So wait, don't you fry it for about 10 and then bake it for about 15? Guys, and how can you tell when it's done? Like, can you look at it and can you tell? Mr. Isaiah?
Once it gets to start looking more saucy looking.
Oh.
Like the entire pot.
Got it. Yum. Okay, cool. So next, let us see if it's going to be Gabriel or Ephraim. And it's going to be Ephraim.
Okay, my dish is shepherd's pie that my mom taught me to make. Pardon?
That's my favorite.
Okay. The first thing I usually do is for my whole family, I usually do about 20 potatoes, and I peel them and cut them up and put them in a pot to boil until you can stab a fork into it and it'll fall apart.
Don't forget to wash the potatoes.
Pardon?
Don't forget to wash the potatoes.
Yeah, you have to wash the potatoes while you're peeling them. But then you for my family, we do about 2 pounds of ground beef, and you pour it in, you just put it in a pan and put it at 2 or 3, and then you wash your hands again before you start doing anything else. And then once all the meat is frosted, or once I usually see is once there's no more pink and all the juicy stuff on the bottom is gone, the meat should be done. And And then by then your potatoes should be done. So then you take a big pan and you put the meat at the bottom, and then you put the corn on, and then you slap the mashed potatoes that you just mashed.
Okay, how do you make the corn and the mashed potatoes?
Mashed potatoes, you just pour the corn out of the bag and just lay it on the frozen corn.
Okay.
And then you take your potatoes and you mash them up with a beater or whatever you want to use, a wooden spoon. You add milk and butter, and then that's your mashed potatoes. And then you know your mashed potatoes are done when it's all nice and slick and smooth and there's no lumpy dumpies in it. So then once you're done that, you pour your meat and then you put your mashed potatoes on top of that. You put it in the oven. And then I usually set the timer for 15 minutes. And once it's all crisp on top, it looks really yummy. And then if you can like stab a fork through it, not the same fork you use though for stabbing the potatoes. I've done that before and then got in trouble, so
Awesome.
don't do that. And then you stab the pork through, and then if it's all nice and cooked and the top is really crispy, then you take it out and then you serve it to your brothers and sisters and they all eat it and you feel sad because it's all gone.
That's a very accurate ending. Thank you for sharing that, Ephraim. I love shepherd's pie. I don't want to open those lumpy dumpies. Okay, let's get Gabriel going.
Hello.
Hey, kiddo.
Okay, so my recipe is chocolate avocado pudding, and it makes 4 servings. The ingredients is 2 ripe avocados, 3 ripe bananas, 1/3 cup of cocoa powder, 3 tablespoons of honey, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a pinch of salt. So you place all the ingredients in a blender and process them until they're smooth and creamy. If it's too thick, add a little milk to help it blend. Divide them, then it should be done, and then you divide it between 4 bowls and top with hemp seeds, coconut flakes, and sliced strawberries or other fresh fruit. It should take about 5 to 10 minutes, and you can put any leftovers in the fridge.
I think I'm probably going to hit you up for that recipe later because honestly, I think I'm probably going to make that next week or maybe this weekend. Tell us how delicious it is. Tell us how delicious it is.
It's like really good.
It sounds pretty good. Okay, so you just mix them all in a bowl, like a big metal bowl, or?
It says place all ingredients in a blender.
Oh, in a blender, yeah.
And then process them until they're smooth and creamy.
And make sure, so like when you said to put in an avocado, how do you put in the avocado? Like just throw in a whole thing or what?
Well, like you take out the pit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just throw it in, and the skin.
Okay, what about the other fruit?
Well, the bananas
Mm-hmm.
and the other fruit, the other fresh fruit you just put on top.
Okay.
And then the bananas, you just peel them and then put it in.
Got it. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Does anybody else want to go? Because this is what I'm looking for, guys. I just want you to walk me through. Nothing too scary. Does Ben want to go, or maybe Nika or Xavier? We got a few minutes left in class.
I'm just thinking to see if I could think of a recipe.
Well, you can always go next week too, Nika. Because I do need everyone to go. I am doing this for marks, but it's formative.
Okay.
So like,
Yeah, I'll go next week.
all right, cool. All right, go ahead, Mr. Dom. Yeah, you guys can go next week. It's fine if you want to go next week. Okay, but Dom is ready to go now, so whatever you want to.
My recipe is Dutch oliebollen. So first you wash your hands, then you sift 4 cups of all-purpose flour, add milk and salt into a bowl. Dissolve the yeast in about 2 tablespoons of warm water or milk, and then let it stand for about 5 minutes. Add the yeast to the flour mixture and place the dough in a warm place to rise for about 1.5 hours. After it's risen, punch the dough down and add the grated lemon peel and the raisins, currants, and diced apples. Heat the oil at about 350 degrees. Add 2 tablespoons, which you have dipped in the hot oil. Pull a ball of dough from the batter and dip it in the oil until golden brown. Allow the oliebollen to rest on some paper towels for a few minutes, then place on a serving tray and garnish it with icing sugar.
It sounds pretty delicious. Definitely pretty delicious. Yeah, it's fine, Natalia. You can go next week. Excuse me, guys. One sec. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, thank you. Anybody else have anyone that they wanted to share? Or? No? Okay, fantastic.